Hi, everybody. Welcome to the JoinTheTrades.com interview series where we talk to tradespeople about professional career paths straight from the source. Today, we have a very special guest, old friend of mine personally, and creator and founder of JoinTheTrades.com, drumroll, Nicole Bass.
The drama. Thanks for having me, crew.
It's my pleasure, Nicole. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
All right, so as we get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about the initiative, how this began?
Yep. Sure. So I work with commercial HVAC service companies. I've been in commercial HVAC service for 10 years now. And part of our job, what we do is get people to, we develop the resources to help them hire, recruit, train more technicians, but we also train their salespeople. That we just we're an ecosystem for this industry. And in the recruitment strategies, we offered interview strategies, recruitment tactics, of where to find these people. We offer an apprenticeship program, all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that we've realized as we've gotten more and more into this is that, it's not so much that people don't want to join the trades, is that they don't really know how to get started. And I work with all of these contractors who are trying to use the resources that are available to them, like Indeed.com or what are some of the other ones? I hate to call out any because those are all wonderful sites for more of a corporate model. But for a trades model, it's not the same. Trades careers aren't built off of these like flowery resumes and all that. Anyway, so I created the TikTok channel first, and we are doing a TikTok live right now. So I kind of want to do a little shout out, but created the TikTok channel first. And I thought, well, obviously these people don't know about trades careers and how they can make six figures and be debt free and have someone else pay for their education. Otherwise they'd be jumping on it. And this TikTok channel, it really, it took off. And one of the things, again, that I reaffirmed was that, hey, people want to join the trades. They want these six-figure careers that are no debt. They're having a hard time finding how to get started. So that's the whole JoinTheTrades.com initiative, is just making those connections, because it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be all word of mouth.
Yeah, very cool. That's one of the things that is the most interesting about the platform in general. And the trades in general. We spend so much money on college, and degrees that sometimes we don't end up using. And when you had first mentioned that so many trades will actually pay you to learn and direct you in a perfect direction where you can earn six figures, take care of your family, have a lot of freedom. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it really is. And there's a lot of information on how to get started at college. I'm not anti-college. I'm really not. I think that, look, there's three solid career paths. Two of them are recognized as solid, successful career paths right out of the gate, or they have been over the past several decades, right? That's college and the military. And then the trades. These days, it's not as bad as I think it was maybe 10 years ago. Now, you're starting to see like sign-on or signing days with people joining a plumbing apprenticeship, where at the high school, they're setting up the signing like you would for somebody who's decided to sign and go to a college or go to a university. Now they have signing days for some tradespeople as well. So that's the kind of stuff that we want to see, is just kind of changing that narrative as to what a trades career means. It means a fast track to a stable, high earning career without debt. That's it, right? And everything else, all the other narratives that are out there, the whole, well, people don't want to work hard and get dirty anymore. Like, forget all that. These are just solid careers, and we just need to educate more on it.
Yeah, part of the thing that I've been surprised by talking to so many people so far is how many different careers fall into this umbrella of trades. Right. I think generally to the layperson, a trade seems like, carpenter or HVAC, and it seems limited to that. But I just talked to a woman named Deirdre, who's a professional hairstylist, and we have many more interviews lined up with all kinds of different varieties.
Yeah, it's people. I think the construction industry has done a better job of recruiting and trying to get the word out there. And so now people associate trades careers with construction careers. So plumbers, electricians, carpenters, masons, all of that. But a trades career is really any skill that you can learn that does not require a college education. It requires a different type of education. And because it's a skill, usually a hands-on type skill, it requires some type of an apprenticeship You can't just go book study. You can't just go read books and now all of a sudden you can do this skill. That's a trade. You have to do the book part and do the hands-on part in order to learn a skill. So that can be aviation, pilots or tradespeople. That can be culinary arts. Chefs are tradespeople. Coders for software. It's the same thing. You have to do the hands-on piece with the educational component in order to be skilled at a thing, so skilled at it that people pay you good money. People just throw money at you.
Sure.
So yeah, that is the definition for us of a skilled trade. So it's a very broad definition on the, not broad, but more accurate, I would argue, definition.
Well, I'm taking notes of all those careers so I can decide what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah. The one that surprised me the most recently, and my sister is a commercial pilot. And as we were putting the site together, we thought, okay, commercial pilots, this is really a pay to learn opportunity, You got to have money to go be a pilot. And that's actually not true. So this is me needing to educate myself on it, having talked to my sister, having spoken with a few of these schools. Like the airlines are so desperate for all trades are desperate for tradespeople that they are funding people to go through school as long as they commit to working for their airline afterwards. Like there's just a lot of really great opportunities out there.
Yeah, that's super cool. It's super cool to bring that to the attention of everyone. That I think so many people are looking for a change or looking for their first career path, and they don't realize that really there are a plethora of opportunities out there, and if the right people can go to the right place, jointhetrades.com, they can find out the information they need to really get their life rolling.
Absolutely. I think it said there's some numbers that someone else shared with me. 1 in 5 people reported through the pandemic that they were, I don't know if it was through the pandemic actually, but 1 in 5 people reported that they were unhappy with their current career in which they had a better career path, like understood where they were going. I mean, add that to the millions of high school students. The people are out there. It's just the connections that need to be made.
Yeah, there's something nice about the trades in the sense that they have a real security, and they seem to do well with job security. In the midst of different things that may be happening, there's always going to be a need for that. Recently, of course, we were starting to be more aware of AI and the concerns of AI and how that may affect certainly some white collar jobs, or typically discussed as white collar jobs. And the idea that there is no AI that's going to be able to make up for hairstyling. There's no AI that's going to be able to make up for a chef. There's no AI that's going to be able to make up for HVAC. These are real, saltier, decent jobs where people can make a real good living and not have to be concerned about what's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen in the future? These are going to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I work in commercial HVAC. Some of the best years that these companies have ever seen happened through the pandemic and happened during the 2008 recession. Like they are not impacted by a recession or by the pandemic. And, they say that the Gen Zers are the most fiscally responsible of the 4 generations in the workplace. Now, given that I'm not a Gen Zer, I want to push back on that and be like, are you sure? But the Gen Zers, their parents went through that 2008 recession. They got a kind of front row seat to the 2008 recession and how it impacted their parents. So they make some smart financial decisions to include how the college decision. And that's why college attendance is down by quite a bit. And I think it's these Gen Zers who are taking a step back and saying, oh, what are my other options before I just sign on the dotted line for all that debt?
Yeah. These are very savvy kids.
Yeah, they are.
They're very smart, and they seem to be aware of okay, I really want to accomplish something in my life, and how do I do that? How do I really do it where I can count on it, where I can see a clear-cut path that's going to lead me to what I want to accomplish? And it's very cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you been working on jointhetrades.com?
The idea has been stewing in my head for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It didn't come to life until I met a guy named Chris Scott, who I know you're going to interview as well. He's the coder developer. I had sketched out all of how the site would work and what the flow would be for the user of the site and the benefits that employers would get, schools would get. I hadn't figured out how to get it made. There's a couple of really complex parts to it that have to do with GPS locations so that people can look for opportunities around them. But yeah, but we want to make sure that the employers, an employer may have an office that's north of Georgia, for example, north of Atlanta. But if you just did a radius and said, okay, here's where they do work, that's not accurate because the employers, all their customers may be south of them. So there's some a little bit complex parts of the site that I didn't know how I was going to get built out until I had met this gentleman, and he's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And his number one priority is cybersecurity. So I just felt more comfortable knowing that I can go into a partnership with somebody who was going to make sure that the users are taken care of and safe and knew how to do some of this complex stuff. And so he's really the catalyst to get this thing going. And we really only started this then, 2 months ago, I think. Yeah, 2 months ago, he started coding it out. We rolled out the informational site, which is up right now. You can see it on jointhetrades.com about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, and then in 2 weeks, we have the AHR Expo in Atlanta, Georgia, where we are going to roll out the live employer search site. So this is demonstrating to employers, especially all those employers who are going to be at this expo, how they can have their listing on the site. So if somebody is interested in their trade, they can then look in their area, see which companies are hiring, because all of them are, and then reach out and request an interview.
You mentioned privacy.
Yeah.
And I think we're all aware nowadays of how much of our information is being sold without our permission on some level. And that's something that's been very important to you with this?
We have it in big, bold letters on the terms of service. We will not refuse. We refuse to sell anyone's data. It's not our model. That's not what we're looking to do here. And so we wanted to make sure everyone felt really comfortable with that. It's not our.
So that's one way that jointhetrades.com really stands out from other options. What are the other ways?
I think being able to have all of the ways to get started in one centralized location, along with the educational component and along with the assessment test. So if you haven't been to the site yet, just to explain the workflow, it is, I as a visitor can come to the site, I can take an assessment. It's only 20 questions long, but it's going to help them determine what their preferences are for which trade would be the best fit. Right? For example, are you afraid of heights? Okay, well, if you are, you shouldn't be a pilot and you shouldn't be in commercial HVAC, right? Some basic questions. How do you feel about working outside? How are your math skills? Because that does matter to a lot of trades careers. And once they finish the assessment, which is optional, then they can go and learn about the different trades that might be a good fit for them. So we tell them what it is, a day in the life, pros and cons, and then you might be a good fit if. Once they narrow down which trades they think they might be a good fit for, they can do a search for their zip code and they'll find all the employers and schools and unions that are in their area so that they can reach out, request an interview. Maybe it's because they want to interview for a job, or maybe it's because they want to pick someone's brain and learn more about that career, right? There's not a commitment here. There's no job posts. There's no resumes. You look at that employer search. The way it works is you've got all these employers in your area, but maybe you only want to see the employers that offer health benefits. It's important to you to have health benefits for your family. Well, you can filter that out, and now you're left with just those employers who offer health benefits.
Oh,
maybe
cool.
It's important. Yeah, so maybe it's important to you that an employer offers in-house training, that you want to, and continued education. Well, you can filter out those employers. So there's ways to kind of filter down through all the perks and benefits and even earning potential. There'll be a filter for if you have a criminal record. Only certain employers are able to hire people who have a criminal record based on the kind of customers they work with, right? So being able to filter these things out means that you don't have to hunt and peck through job posts to try to figure out how one employer compares to another one. So then, so it's a pretty seamless way for a career seeker to narrow down how to get started. And for employers and schools and unions, it's a passive recruitment tactic, right? We're going to do all of the advertising, all the marketing. We're going to draw people to it. They just have to be there. They just have to be listed whenever we lead people to them.
And for someone who comes to the site and is looking for careers, is there a cost to them, or is it?
No, not at all. The career seekers, thanks for asking that. Career seekers don't pay anything. We do ask for a listing fee from employers and the schools. The idea is that the site and the advertising and eventually going to high schools to speak, all of this stuff is going to be funded by the employers and the schools who benefit from the work that we're doing. right? So we ask them to pay a relatively inexpensive fee to be listed on the site. So for employers, it's $20 a month.
Okay.
So it's very reasonable, and that is what continues the ongoing advertising on their behalf.
Okay, so employers spend $20 a month for
Yeah.
this, and the job seekers spend absolutely nothing.
Nothing at
So
all.
it's a one-stop shop where they can get all the information they need. They can use it as much as they want. They can look at as many careers as they want, and it's
Right.
no cost to them, right?
None at all. Yep.
That's
Yep.
excellent. Excellent. What about, so let's put it this way. You've got a pretty comprehensive list of specifics that the companies are actually going to address. Obviously,
Yep.
you talked about pay scale, you talked about education. What else will they be addressing?
Well, one thing to note about pay scale is that this real world environment is that you make more in your first year. I'm sorry, in your 10th year than you're going to make in your first year. So we do break down pay scale for each employer to say, hey, what is the minimum and maximum that you're paying for somebody who's got less than 1 year experience?
Nice.
Now tell us about 2 to 4 years, 5 to 9 years, and 10 plus years, because that is a difference. And it's a problem on these online job search boards that are out there, that if you offer the average HVAC technician makes $65,000 a year is what it says on these boards.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, if you average the first year apprentice who can, barely do anything at all with a senior chiller technician, this is that. So
Right.
that average is not a realistic capture of what an HVAC technician is making. I work with combined over 5,000 HVAC technicians. All of the senior journeymen make six figures, period. That is it. So once you are a licensed journeyman or equivalent, you are going to be making good money. So you can't really go off of these job boards. So we will have the pay scale broken up so you can see what each trade makes by level of experience. And as far as other things that they can search for, we have all of the benefits. So things like medical, dental, whether it's for you or you and your family. We have retirement benefits, 401k, everything that you would want to know is offered by a company. But then we ask each employer to pick the 3 reasons why somebody would want to work for them, and we give them a list to choose from. One of them, for example, is small, family-owned and operated, which is a wildly different culture than a corporation that's nationwide, right? One is employee development, right, which is also a perk. But if you identify your culture with employee development and talent development, then that is a value proposition that is kind of sellable for these companies. And I do feel like a lot of these contractors aren't really good at selling themselves. They're like, hey, I have a job. Like, well, yeah, give me more than that. Like they put a sticker on a truck that says now hiring. Like that's not a sales pitch.
Right.
So, yeah. So we do include that in there. There's just a million ways for a career seeker to be able to really fine tune what it is that they care about. Maybe they're not even sure what trade they want to get started in, but they do care about these perks and benefits. And they're open to really anything as long as it meets these needs. Well, they can do that. They don't have to start with the trade search and then narrow it down. They can just say, in my area, who's offering, family medical and in-house training, and kind of go down that route.
Wow, that's exciting. That's something that you and I haven't spoken about. The idea that someone could come there and say, hey, my top priorities are this. I want to make sure I got insurance. I'd like to be paid to learn. I mean, a lot of people have many different interests, and if they're able to find out, like, these are my absolute necessities, oh my gosh, I plugged in my absolute necessities, and there are 14 different careers that can,
Offer.
Yeah, offer. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited by it. I think it'll help a lot on both sides of the house. I think it'll help the employers recruit, and it'll help career seekers have a better picture of. Crew, when you grew up, did your parents do the thing to you where it was like, okay, you can be a doctor or a lawyer, pick one?
No, they didn't do that. I was such a handful, I think, that they were just like, hey, don't fall off a cliff today, please. I had to lower the bar for me.
So my parents gave me those 2 options and it was a joke, right? It was obviously a joke. Hey, you can be a doctor or a lawyer, pick one. And I got that it was a joke, but being a kid, like, honestly, if you asked me at the age of 18 years old what career options are out there, I would say doctor or lawyer or college. That's all. That's it. Like
Sure.
that's the only three. But I mean, I don't even think at the time military would have registered in my head. It was doctor, lawyer, or college. So do you know what my first when I went to college, I was pre-med.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm terrible at that. That's not my bad.
You discovered that was not the field for you.
No. Nicole does not do pre-med. That's a lot of memorizing stuff. My gosh.
Hey, let me ask you something. What's the deal with Mike Rowe?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh gosh. We're on TikTok live right now. If Mike Rowe, if you're listening,
Hey, Mike.
been trying to
Nice to have you.
get in touch with you about your car's warranty.
Mike doesn't go anywhere without his TikTok app.
I know. He's like just checking to see if I'm going to be live. I don't even think he's on TikTok. Look, I'm passionate about this. I know it's going to help a lot of people. I thought, who has a voice that can help me get this out there? Because I don't have that audience that he has. And I know he's passionate about this. And I thought, well, if he's passionate about it, if I could just get him to hear what it is that we're doing, I think that he would hear the value that it would bring, and possibly, I don't know, maybe invite me on his podcast as like an extreme, or maybe just comment on my TikTok as Mike Rowe just says, hey, this sounds like a great idea. Like if he just did that, right? That would get me so far. Or maybe even want to be more involved than that. Look, he's so I started making these videos to him. If you've seen any of my TikToks, you know that I heckle him a lot. But just trying to I just want like 5 minutes of his time. He hasn't responded. I think a lot of people have. He's going to be at a conference that I'm at in March, and somebody asked me recently, hey, do you think he's seen any of your videos yet? And I was like, I don't think there's a world where he hasn't seen them, because there's so many of my TikTok followers who have posted on his page or tagged him. And so at this point, he thinks I'm that crazy lady. And I bet you he recognizes my face as that crazy lady.
Right.
But yeah, he'll be at this conference that I'm at in March, and I'm going to be front row, that crazy lady, and see if just 5 minutes. Mike. Just 5 minutes.
Mike's team.
Mike's team.
Contacting us. We're trying to make a difference here, Mike.
Yep. At discoverychannel.com. #dirtyjobs.
All right. So talk to us about the plans moving forward.
Yep. We're moving quickly with our small team here, and we will be rolling out the employer search and a lot of the final functional components of the site at the AHR conference. If you're going to the AHR conference, this little shout out here, then come see us. We're at booth B4777. And our goal is going to be to get as many contractors on this as possible. Now, that conference is specifically for heating and air conditioning, but following that, we're going to just broaden our kind of marketing and get more and more employers on it. We're also talking to a lot of unions. A lot of unions are very interested in getting on this because they represent a school. And, unions have wonderful training in their respective fields, and they also are great at placing people in quality organizations and then ensuring that they get, the right benefits and all that. So I am pro-union, pro-non-union. I am just pro-trades. Just want to put that out there. But yeah, it's just growing the database. My biggest concern is getting all of this attention from people and getting people to go to the website, and then there's just no employers listed.
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe, you got so many followers. So we've got to get the database built up. Otherwise, it's just an informational site on trades, and it doesn't do that last step, which is getting people, connected.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to mention to whoever's listening as far as, hey, go check this out. This is a good way to, get the ball rolling, or do this and it can get you started? Or
yeah, absolutely. Go to www.jointhetrades.com. Go to the Get Involved tab, and if you're an employer, you can go ahead and pre-purchase your listing. It'll be live in 2 weeks. If you are a school, you can pre-purchase your listing. It'll be live in 4 weeks. Or if you like what we're doing, you think that it's a worthy cause, and you want to go buy a hoodie or buy a hat, every dollar goes straight back into this initiative. so that we can get more of the word out there. So yes, go support us. And we are bootstrapping this. We are not backed by anybody, and just getting it done with some elbow grease and hustle.
Nicole, I've known you for quite a few years. We've been friends for a long time, 20 plus years. And you've always been an incredibly hardworking, passionate lady. We call you the business lady.
I know.
You've accomplished so many things, been across the world accomplishing so many things. When you talked to me about this, I was really inspired. I mean, honestly inspired by your passion for this. This is something that you seem to really care about. It's something that you seem to believe can really, really make a difference. And I appreciate you working so hard for it. And I can't wait to see where it goes, honey.
I appreciate you coming along on the journey and doing these interviews for us. I think you are just a ton of fun to watch with all of these tradespeople who I know are out of their element in an interview setting, and you just get them comfortable right out of the gate. So I'm so glad to have you along for the ride.
It's been such a pleasure. I mean, it's been such a pleasure meeting all these incredible people. So
yeah, they're incredible people for sure.
Hey, any last thoughts?
Nope, I think we covered just about everything. If you can, like we said to everybody, go to the site, tell your friends, at a very minimum, share the posts that you see from us online, just to help us spread the word on our startup budget. And we appreciate all of you guys for listening and participating.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us at jointhetrades.com interview series. We'll see you next time with some other extraordinary guest. Bye.
Bye.